keep switching between German and English. It's really odd, because I see a lot of German participants. Ich sehe viele Teilnehmer hier aus Deutschland, deshalb springe ich immer hin und her mit der Sprache. Und freue mich, dass Sie so viele eingewählt haben. Marcus, I'm going to dismiss you now. I'm going to start sharing my screen again, just for a second, because we have Mr. Doug Ramshaw coming up, Minera Alamos, and he is going to present in English. So, wenn Sie die deutsche Übersetzung benötigen, bitte klicken Sie auf den kleinen Globus unten rechts in der Leiste und klicken Sie auf Deutsch. Sie sollten dann die deutsche Übersetzung hören. And Doug, right on time. It's your audience. Please go ahead.
Okay. Right, in the interest of time, I'll start my stopwatch. Good morning, everyone. For people new to the story, I will give you the 30,000-foot overview, and hopefully for those who are aware of it, a few updates since I last presented. Minera Alamos is a mine operating team that has a history of building mines. And before I go too much into the preamble, I will make some forward-looking statements today. In an industry that I think doesn't build enough, our team has built 3 successful mines in the last 12 years, focusing and largely in Mexico, and that's one of our core competencies. We build mines with leading industry-leading capital intensity. As I go through the presentation, we realize just how low it costs us to actually build these. We currently have 2 mines. One is under construction. The other one should be sequentially built following the completion of the first one. And I think what's interesting with an organic production profile, we don't really need a rising gold price for us to be a growth story. Obviously, if we get into the kind of gold market we seem to be in right now, there's a compounding effect of that, and we're really excited about our timing to be a new gold producer very early on in 2021, which really doesn't seem that far away now, and isn't. A little bit of background to our shareholders. Our largest shareholder is Osisko Gold Royalties. They own just under 20%. I'm proud to say, in an industry that seems to always clamor for generalist investors, we've had them for a long time. Almost 18% of our stock is held by US generalists. And I think it's because we're talking their language. Rather than talking about headline production numbers or how many ounces of resource we have, we're building a business model that's going to focus on, I think, what is the most important metric, which is the bottom line profitability of a business venture. So we're roughly 200 million market cap. Between cash and investment holdings right now, we have close to $15.5 million, which is more than enough capital for the business plan we have right now with these 2 assets. And fortunate to have a growing suite of analysts covering the story. Most recently, John Schlodnick of National Bank initiated coverage just a couple of weeks ago. In terms of performance, we've outperformed both gold price, the developer peer group, and the GDXJ over the last year. And I think a big reason for that is we dealt with a warrant overhang last year. We now really don't have any warrants to speak of. We've completed 3 successive straight share financings, which is always a sign of strength. And hopefully warrants will be a thing of the past for us. But most importantly, I think when we look at our peer group, a lot of them, I see a number of companies here I imagine will get taken out in this cycle. They're developing something for potentially a takeout rather than to build and put into production. We will be graduating from this peer group to that of junior producer next year, and from there on out, hopefully growing to more of an intermediate status. And I think that's why we're widening the gap, although I've been playing neck and neck with Cal Everett's Liberty Gold, who's just ahead of me in terms of performance over the last year. So from a perspective of the team, I said we were a mine operating team. We really are built around a core strength of people that want to build mines. Darren is the mine builder. Federico Alvarez is the mine operator, and most importantly for our business model, which is to start on a small resource and grow out of cash flow rather than constantly going back to the market to raise money to drill. We'd rather drill out of cash flow. I love assay results. I love drilling. I just hate the expense of it. So running small operations which can grow out of cash flow makes a lot of sense. And Miguel Cardona has been an exceptional explorationist in Mexico. And so, you know, we have a team that's done it before and is looking forward to doing it again for a new group of shareholders. We have 2 assets. We're in northern Mexico. We will continue to focus in the north of the country. Mexico is a great jurisdiction to operate in. That being said, I personally think that southern Mexico is a bit of a wild, wild west. I'm not going to expose our shareholders to a place I wouldn't be prepared to go myself. And whilst I'm prepared to go to northern Mexico, I won't in the south. So our focus will remain in northern Mexico. The first project is in Sonora. It's about 50 kilometers southwest of Alamos Gold's Mulatos gold mine. We are currently constructing. We got the finance in place for that in December last year. COVID did slow things down by a few months, but overall our timing right now, so long as the rainy season isn't a brutal one, we should see construction complete right around the end of the year, and first production sometime later in Q1 of 2021. This is a project which we can build with incredibly low capital intensity. The capex of this project is roughly 10 million Canadian. We have that funding package from our partner, Osisko Gold Royalties. And as I said, really in industry-leading capital intensity. The capital we spend is your capital. And so it's really important for us as shareholders to make sure that we are spending that money wisely. We completed test mining. I didn't catch all of Marcus's presentation, sadly, but metallurgy is often the Achilles heel of projects. We did a 50,000-ton bulk heap leach test, recovered just over 1,100 ounces of gold. We are very comfortable with metallurgy. Our CEO is a metallurgist. Construction right now, it's a new picture up top. The main long lead item is building the heap leach pad. We're currently contouring the ground, having cleared of all trees and vegetation. Largely bypass roads have been completed. We're waiting on the final inspection for our explosives permit, but the bunkers have been built. And a lot of the plant fabrication has taken place, and we're just finishing up remaining steel structures for the plant. Water wells have been completed. We successfully had 2 pump tests done for 2 wells. We want to provide a well for the local community. As being an operator on their land, we really become part of that community, and as such, we want to do right by them. So we have a water well prepared for them. The necessary filings for those water wells to be permitted are being sent in shortly. And we have a crushing system that's in place for the expansion of Santana. We'll start initially with mining contractors, but in time we'll look to bring crushing in-house. As for exploration potential, all the drilling has been basically done in these 2 starter pit areas, Nicho and Nicho Norte. And if there's any drilling to watch for in our phase 3 over the second half of the year, I'm really excited about drilling a series of these other breccia pipes that are all within a few kilometers of each other. This will dictate whether Santana is a modest 40,000 ounce a year operation or can grow considerably to something where we're mining from a series of pits to a central heap leach pad. So that's going to be key drilling to look for in the second half of the year. Our second project is in Durango. We have completed a PEA of this, again, just off a starter pit, a high-grade starter pit, 3.5, 4 gram per ton open pit. The bankers we've talked about with regard to debt packages on this, to quote them, we can't break this. It's a sub 500 US all-in sustaining cost, modest capex at 27 million US. We don't mind taking some debt on to build the second project, so long as we're up and running at the first. So, all our projects we run at low gold prices to ensure that in a lower gold price environment, our profitability can be maintained. Clearly, in a rising gold market, the economics of this project get better and better. In terms of the profile, to get to a mid-tier producer, for baby steps, we've got to get the first mine up and running, and then we'll be looking to move to intermediate status. And our initial goal was we were going to try to get to 150,000 ounces a year over about 3 years. And we thought that we'd need 3 assets to do that. A Santana with an initial Santana expansion, La Fortuna coming on, and then maybe a third asset. If that drilling at Santana proves those other pipes are similar to the main nicho pipe that we'll start the mining on, it could very well be a series of sequential expansions at Santana coupled with La Fortuna will allow us to get to that target. It's not going to stop us looking to add assets which make sense to our pipeline of projects, so we can show there's growth beyond Santana and Fortuna. So I hope that we can add to that pipeline before the gold price really takes off. Stay tuned on that. In terms of this year, as my time draws to a close, construction will largely be completed by the end of Q4. And then in the second half of the year, expect to see a flow of exploration results. That work is ongoing right now. And most importantly, operations at Santana, where we graduate from that developer peer group and become a new gold producer, which is a very exclusive club, really, in an industry that is full of hundreds and hundreds of companies. We're really excited as a mine operating team to show that we can do this, and we've done it in the past. We're no stranger to it. And I personally believe the best way to play a rising gold price is to be producing gold, and our timing could be perfect. So with that, and 20 seconds left, I would like to thank Kai and his team at Soar Financial, but I think more importantly, the shareholders at large. Without you as shareholders, companies like mine and others you'll see today, people that have a real passion here, we can't do it without your support. So with 12 minutes right up, I'd like to thank you today for listening to me.
Thank Doug. Really appreciate it. For 12 minutes, great. We actually have a couple minutes for Q&A. We have a couple questions come in as well. So please use the Q&A function or the chat function to send us your questions. I'm just opening it up here again because I'm sharing my screen. There's the Q&A. Where's the chat function now? It always keeps jumping around. And where is it? We have a question actually. Is there a BFS or a bankable feasibility study on the projects you're building right now? That was one of the questions.
No, in the case of Santana, there was a tremendous amount of historical information. We have, we did a considerable test mine there. And because we didn't need to go to the market to raise that capital, our partner in Cisco through a combination of equity and some royalty money, there wasn't the need to spend a year and a lot of money to build something which, in the case of open pit heap leach, if you've got a good handle on the resource, you've got a good handle on the met, and the capital is so limited, it didn't seem necessary. If we'd done all that, we'd be a year and a half away from production right now, rather than taking advantage of this gold price 6 months from now. In the case of Fortuna, we do have a PEA. But again, I think we will, and the bankers feel comfortable, we can build that off the back of what's a very solid PEA.
Okay, fantastic. And just a quick answer. We got another question regarding a U.S. listing. Integra is going that way right now. What is Minera Alamos' philosophy with respect to that, and thoughts of a modest share consolidation to go along with that? And keep it short.
Yeah, right now, no. I think if anything, I would like to elevate ourselves from the TSX venture to the TSX. I think once we've done that, then we can look at where the growth of the company is. In terms of share consolidation, it's always something we consider, but if we do one, I think it would be very, very modest, more of a tweak than anything. Right now, it's not on the in our plans.
Fantastic.